Hari Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryan Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So today we are going to speak about Dharma and faith. If this is one and the same, or these are two different things, and what is Dharma, and how many Dharmas, how many kinds of Dharma we have. This will be the subject of today's class. So first, what is Dharma? Let's see. The word Dharma means eternal identity or eternal activity. The essence or that which sustains one's existence. The essence or this one sustains one's existence. For example, to be easy to understand, what is the essence or the Dharma of the sugar? Sweetness, yes. If we have sugar and this sugar is not sweet, we call it sugar? No. For example, what is the Dharma of salt? Yes, the salt should make the thing salty. If it doesn't make things salty, something is wrong. It's not salt. So, okay, what is the Dharma or the essence of the fire? Makes things hot also. Heat. Heat. What else? The fire gives us something light. Yes. So we can say the Dharma, the essence of the fire gives heat and gives light. If we have a fire and this fire does not produce heat and light, is it fire? Not generally. Like for example, you have these unnatural candles and it looks like they have fire, but actually if you go close, there is nothing. Is it really fire? It looks like fire, but actually it's not fire. So this is the Dharma of the fire. What is the Dharma of the water? Yes, to make things wet. It enters in everything. The water has this ability to enter in everything, no matter where you put water. Like for example, if you have one building, and in one place of the building you have some small crack, very little crack. With the time, definitely water will go and will enter inside and will start going deeper and deeper and deeper. This is we could say, the Dharma, the essence of water, can make things wet and can penetrate, enter everywhere, in everything. So in this way, every object, everything that exists in this universe has his Dharma, or intrinsic nature, or essential quality. And without this quality, we will not say that this object is called like that, with certain name. Dharma, other, we could say, meaning of the word Dharma is duty. Why duty? Because generally every object has some duty that performs. For example, if we have brick, what is the duty of a brick?
To stack with other bricks and
Yes,
structure.
Yes, should make a structure, should build something, should. So this is the duty of the brick. What is the duty of a spoon? Yes, you can get something liquid that you cannot take, let's say, with fork or with knife, and you can move it from one place to the other. This is the duty of this thing. That's why it's meant for. So, now we are coming to the important point. What about the soul? What is the essential quality? If every object in this world has essential quality, has duty, has intrinsic nature, what is the duty of the soul? What is the essential quality of the soul? Do you have some suggestions?
Love God.
To love God, yes.
To bring to life.
Exactly, to love God. But we are looking also for one other very specific word which goes with this. But like you did 10 out of 10. It cannot be better than this. But I'm looking for a very specific word.
Individuality?
Yes, this is a quality of the soul, but we are looking for something else. Yes, the soul is good in have a creative energy, creative impetus. It's true.
Like blissful.
It's blissful.
Like enlightening.
Yes, these are all parts of the nature of the soul, I agree. But I'm looking for something else, especially when we are taking the word Dharma as duty. What is
serve God?
to serve God with?
Love.
Bingo. That's it. This is the essential quality of the soul. To serve, but with love. And to serve God. Because when we define it in this way, serve God, God includes everything, so nothing is excluded out of this. By saying that the soul is meant to serve God means the soul will serve God and the soul will serve all other living entities. It's the full thing, full formula. Yes, if we look closely the nature of the soul, if we analyze different people, different living entities, the souls in the different bodies, we will see that this is one quality that always goes together with the soul. There is no living entity that is out of this idea of service. Like, for example, Srila Prabhupada is giving a very nice example in the introduction to Bhagavad Gita. He's saying, if we look the living entities all over the world, we will see everybody is serving something or someone. For example, a politician, he goes in front of the people and he's saying that he promised he will render very nice service to the nation for the benefit of all. And let's say the astronauts, they are saying they want to go there in the cosmos, in the universe, in the open space. Why? To render very important service to humanity at large. Or, for example, the teacher is saying, I want to render service to kids to become educated. The mother wants to serve the kids. Huh?
The future.
Yeah, the kids, the husband. The husband wants to serve.
Himself.
Yes, also. But like generally we would say he want to serve the wife and the kids, the family. But let's say even if he is very, very selfish, again he cannot stop but doing service to who?
God. Himself.
To himself, to his senses. He wants to gratify his belly, his tongue, or maybe his genitals in some weird ways. But you cannot avoid serving. Just the question is, are you going to serve in a selfish way or in a selfless way? A soul is meant to serve. A soul is active by nature, as we said, and it's meant to serve. And it's going to serve. The question is who you're going to serve. Are you going to serve yourself? or you extend a little bit this selfishness by serving only your wife or only your kids or only your family or only your relatives, which is better than just serving yourself, but it's still selfish because why only your family? Like why you're going to get salary, for example, what, like $3,000-4,000 and spend them, all of them, only for your family? Why not divide them equally to all the families in your apartment building, for example? What was the problem? Why not?
Because we have belief systems that there's not enough. You have belief systems that there's not
At the end of the day, we are doing it because we are selfish, because we think this is my family, these are my people, and these are different. So for my people, I'm ready to do everything. I'll sacrifice my whole day, my whole energy, all my money, everything. I'll get a loan. I'll pay for my kid like $100,000 to study 4 years, whatever. But for the other kid which is lying on the street, yeah, okay, I'll give him $1. It's fine, no problem. So that's why we are saying still it's selfish. But it's better than being totally selfish only for you. It's much better to sacrifice for your family, for your relatives. And then some people, they are ready to sacrifice even for a bigger cause, like, for example, the country. They are ready to die for the country. Like, I guess in America you have many examples like that. In my country we have few very important personalities. They were very young, and on a very young age they sacrificed totally themselves. They just said, forget about my personal happiness. Like one of them, he had a very beautiful wife. He was maybe 26, 7, something like that. And he wrote a very famous letter. He was a very good poet. He wrote many, many nice, beautiful poems. In one of the poems, it is said, "Letter to my beautiful wife." And he's explaining how nice she is and how he's so attached to it. But at the end of the poem, he's saying, "But now my soul is, what is the word? Like a dreaming, is eager for something else, to see the country liberated. So I want to do this, I want to go for this goal." And then he's going in the fighting against the Turks and living outside in the mountains without any conditions of life, gathering like 200-300 people and finding weapons and going and fighting against the other party. Other person like that, he was also very young. Actually, he was a monk. Then he gave up his life in the monastery, and he started going all over the country and creating revolutionary committees, and basically making people enthusiastic for fighting against the enemy. And he did this for a long, long time. But at the end they caught him and they brought him to the capital and they hanged him. But he became like a national hero. But like, this is one idea, how to say, more people who had higher idea for service, because they were ready to sacrifice themselves for the whole country or for the whole nation. And even we have other people that, let's say, they go in the space, as we said, and they sacrifice for the sake of the whole humanity. Like, let the humanity advance, the science should advance, and I'm ready to sacrifice my life. I don't know what will happen. Maybe I won't come back. But anyway, I'm ready to sacrifice myself. So this service of selfless, this spirit of selfless service is always there in the soul. Just materially, it's more and more and more selfish, and when it approaches God more and more and more, it becomes selfless. So we could conclude that the essential quality of the soul is to render service to God selflessly with love and devotion. Service to God with love and devotion. This is the essential quality of the soul.
And that's special, like, personalities whom we know I think it's a special calling from God, because He's kind of appointed them to do so. So it's not just like
not random personalities.
Yeah, I mean, it was just everything got together.
I agree.
I mean,
Yes, it's not easy to.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
Yes.
I would say
It's true.
Politicians, right? They want to change, right? Kind of, but how would they sacrifice to do this? They do not actually.
Yeah.
The most of them.
I would say these people, they come to some realization, some idea about God. Because without this realization, you cannot really make this sacrifice. Sacrifice everything connected with you, totally, for some cause. How are you going to do that? Like these two examples that I gave with these two personalities, they were living more or less at the same time. So at some point they, because the enemies, they were behind them, so they had to escape from the country and go and hide somewhere, but there was no actually where to go and hide. They had to cross one very big river. It was so cold that the river was frozen. They had to cross it by walking. And they found this very, very old, I don't know how you say in English, this place where you grind grains. It's a big building. How you say? Mill. Yes. They found this mill that it was not used anymore, and they just entered inside and they were living there. And it was like very cold, like minus, I don't know. And they were living there. They didn't have anything to eat. They just had to survive. And then this great poet, he's writing about the other person. He's writing, it's so cold that even the trees and the stones are breaking from cold. And he's singing again and again and again. I cannot believe, what is this person? So it's some kind of spiritualization. Otherwise you cannot...
Who are those enemies? Is this a metaphorical thing?
No, the enemies are the enemies from the other country who came and took over. Like speaking about Bulgaria, the Turks, they came over, they took Bulgaria over for 5 centuries. 5 centuries Bulgarians, they were slaves of the Turks. So there was brave people who were trying to fight against this and to make the country free. But it was not easy. But the idea is that these people, you see some very, very small realization already of spiritual consciousness, because otherwise from where you're going to get this power to do it? So as you are saying,
from that terrible experience, from that difficulty, it blooms something?
Yes, it blooms. Krishna is giving some strength, some realizations. But the main point was that in order to make such a sacrifice, you need some empowerment.
I'm sorry, I will bring that example like Moses. He was just appointed by God. So
yes.
That he wanted to free his people, so that is how it works. So it's
yes.
not just him, like, okay, me, like, I want to change the world.
Yes.
Who I am. So that's kind of like God prepared that person to do that. So it's a great example.
Correct, yes, I agree.
Adding on that, but adding on, clarifying on that, piggybacking off what she's talking about, which is what you're talking about. Krishna works through all of us in his way, his will, but it's also all of our soul's desires to seek Krishna. Right?
Krishna wants to work through all of us, but not all of us are allowing him to do so. It is said that generally in the universe there are 2 kinds of living entities. One category is called demoniac living entities, and the other is called godly living entities. That's why universe, you could say, generally is divided into 2. From the earthly planets, above the earth are living godly living entities, under the earth demoniac. So what is the difference? The difference is that godly living entities, they also may be selfish to some extent, but in everything they try to be in connection with God. In good, in bad, they always look for the help of God. And demoniac living entities, opposite. They want to break the laws of God. And even if they follow the laws of God, their idea, their desire is with this to get enough strength that they can become God at the end, take over the place of God. So it's a different mentality. So they don't want to be instruments in the hands of God. Rather, they want to take over the whole show. But godly living entities, yes, in some level or rather, they are trying to be instruments in the hands of God. So we are trying to be godly living entities and allow God to use us in whatever capacity, small or middle or big one. So that's the difference between the two here.
It was a question somebody asked, what about like demons, just it's a good or evil, right? So, and you mentioned that that's everything in us. So we allow demonic entities to just...
Yes, nowadays in this age...
Or it's our choice to follow God, right?
Yes.
So
Nowadays...
They exist, and demons exist.
Yes, we can say there are demoniac living entities with demoniac propensities and godly living entities with godly propensities, but also, yes, as you are saying that we said the previous time, within us there is this constant fight between our demoniac mentality and godly mentality. So sometimes we are ready to serve God, we want to be good, we want to help others, and sometimes our demoniac propensities are take over, like lust or greed or anger or envy. Say, no, I hate everybody, I don't want to see anybody, I will smash them, this, that. Our bad nature comes out. So the idea is spiritual process will help us to control this one. The lower nature, we will control it, and then we will work with the higher nature. And by working with the higher nature, as we said, on one level or other level, we will be instruments in the hands of Krishna. If we are very godly, then Krishna can use us to make great things, like Srila Prabhupada, let's say. Because he was totally in a union with Krishna, Krishna could use him to make miracles. And in our case, it's not always like that. In our case, sometimes we are in a mood to be instruments, sometimes not. That's why Krishna, if he is using us for very small tasks. But that's the idea, to purify ourselves, and then we will be able to be instruments in the hands of God. The more purified we will become, the more Krishna will use us as an instrument, and we will see miracles happening. Like, we will be confident, this is not me, I didn't do it. But Krishna will do it through us. He will use us in this way. Like in the life of Prabhupada, we can see so many miracles. And like, for example, one story that comes to mind. Srila Prabhupada, he wrote his commentaries on Bhagavad Gita, and he wanted Bhagavad Gita printed so much. And they were trying to find someone to print it, but it was not successful. At least it was looking, people were not interested. So then, at that time, they make this famous record with the Beatles, Hare Krishna. And many people were ordering. So someone from the Macmillan publishing house ordered a record. And when Prabhupada understood, he said, great, take my manuscript on Bhagavad Gita and show it to them, and you'll see they'll print it. And this devotee, he said, Prabhupada, I even don't know who is ordering this, what to speak of, find a proper person and present to him Bhagavad Gita. How is going to happen? This is a huge publishing house. And Prabhupada said, no, go, just go. And this person, because he was surrendered, he said only, I don't want what will happen, but anyway, let me try. And he went there, and he asked who is the person who ordered this, and it happened that it's some very normal worker, nothing special. And then he said, okay, it looks like it won't happen, but what to do? And he was just about to leave, and some other man came. And this worker, ordinary worker, he said to this man, hey, you know, these are the Hare Krishnas. They made this very famous record with the Beatles. And then he approached to the devotee and he said, and this is our head editor of our how to say, the religious part publishing. He is the head editor. And this devotee, he was like shocked. And he just said, even without knowing what he's saying, he just said, well, my guru just wrote a commentary on Bhagavad Gita. You want to look at it? And then I said, sure, great. We printed all the religious books and we are just looking for edition of Bhagavad Gita. Come in. And he looked at the book and he said, yeah, sure, we'll print it, no problem. And the devotee went back and he said the whole story to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada he just make. Just like he knew what will happen. So we shouldn't be opposed to the idea that we can be instruments of Krishna, and then we will be instruments. We will be used. Like devotees who are going out to distribute books, so many times they saw Krishna makes such an arrangement. Like you meet amazing personalities. Like you meet someone and he gets a book and he's telling you something like, well, I had a very difficult time the last 2-3 weeks, and I was just thinking what I'm going to do with my life. I was totally depressed, and I was thinking I have to go to some spiritual place, otherwise I'm going to get crazy. And suddenly I met you. It's amazing. Give me one book. Hare Krishna. Immediately, all kind of amazing stories like that. Sometimes maybe we can have just one lecture for stories. I'll tell you different stories from the street. Yes.
Do you have miracles in your life?
In my life?
Yeah.
Many. I have many. But as I said, let's leave this for...
No, I mean...
one of the miracles that came in my mind. Maybe it's not a big miracle, but for me it's a miracle. We just have to fly from... We're starting from Bulgaria to go to India, but at that time it was very complicated, no direct flight. So we had to go first to Greece, to Athens. From Athens fly to Middle East, from Middle East fly to Delhi, from Delhi catch a train to go to Mayapur, not to Mayapur, to Calcutta, from Calcutta catch a train to go to Navadvip, from Navadvip catch a rickshaw, then go to Ganga, then cross Ganga with a boat, then catch another rickshaw, and then we reach. Around 4 or 5 days travel, something like that. So we are just about to start our travel in Athens. We go to the airport, we catch our flight, we are inside. All these Greek people, I don't know if you had association with Greek people, they're very jolly, always talking a lot.
Greek or Greek?
Greek. Kalimera, kala, tikanis, yasho, file. And then the plane is just about to start flying, like that pilot is giving force, and we are starting, and everybody is joking, this. And then suddenly, the moment we are just about to go out of the ground, maybe we were already a little bit off the ground, and then suddenly everybody hears like some super heavy sound, and everybody was like, you could I don't know, to drop a cotton you could hear a sound. Everybody was like, and fortunately the pilot immediately understood it's not a joke. He immediately pushed the brakes, and we just make like that. And he immediately put it back on the ground, and we stopped after a few hundred meters. Immediately everybody came, the ambulance, everybody was so afraid. Nothing serious, but everybody. So they kept us inside maybe 30 minutes. Nobody said anything. Everybody was like that. So they opened the door at the end. They said, come down. They put us all back to the airport. And then people, they start getting nervous, what's going on? Are we going to fly? Then this man came and he said, yeah, there is little problem. Now they'll try to fix the plane and you will start again. And people, they're like, no, what? Start almost beating them. And then there was this small girl, 20-something years old. She was just starting to go to India. And he just looked at him. This is not a toy just to fix it for 30 minutes and to fly. This is an airplane. And these people say, okay, just go down. Now we'll see what can we do. And then had to bring everybody to the hotel for the night. And then they said, tomorrow another plane will come, and then you'll fly with another plane. Everybody became like relaxed. So someone may say, well, it happened like that, but no, we know this is the hand of Krishna. It could happen something different. It could happen something different. I know this story about one spiritual master from ISKCON, Jayapataka Swami, Hare Krishna, very famous spiritual master. He was in a flight, and they were just flying, and suddenly the plane started, instead of flying like this, started flying like this, down, and everybody started screaming. And because he's Krishna conscious, first thing he does, he just took his beadbags and he started chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare. And it went for like few seconds, maybe half minute or something like that. Everybody was like, ah! And then after some time, the pilot managed to stabilize the plane, and they continue traveling. And everybody was like so shocked. And then there was this lady sitting opposite to Jayapataka Maharaj. And he stood up and he said, because of this man, we are all alive. Because when we started falling down, he started praying to God. Because of this man, we are all alive. This is what she said to everybody. So the hand of God can be seen everywhere. Just we have to look around a little bit. Even now, if each one of us sees back in his life, so many times he will see that actually God was there and he was helping us. There is this nice story, famous story. There was this man and he was praying to God a lot. And then God appeared in front of him and said, don't worry, whatever moments you are in, whatever difficult situations, I will be always with you and I will always help you. And the man said, yes, but how to know that you are there and you are helping me? And God said, if you are in a very difficult situation and you think I'm not there, just look back and you will see that behind your steps there is other steps. And in this way, you know, I'm always with you. So then this man started living his life, and then there was very difficult times in his life. And when he was looking during these very, very difficult times, he was looking back, and generally, yes, the steps of God were there. But there was one or two times which the situation was so intense, he looked back and there was nothing. And this doubt came in his mind, this doubt stayed in his mind, and he didn't know like what to think. I mean, he told me he will always help me, but he was not there. The most crucial moments in my life. So then he left this world and he went back to the spiritual world, to God, because he was a holy man. And then he said, thank you, dear Lord, for everything you did for me. I just have only one doubt. You said always you will be with me. And I can verify this by seeing your steps next to mine. But there was 2 cases in my life, you were not there. So what about this? I have this doubt in my mind. And then God looked at him and said, these are the times where you were in such a difficult situation, I have to carry you. That's why you were seeing only one steps, and these were my steps, not yours. So Krishna is always with us. He will always help us. Just we should have faith. We said today we are going to speak about faith, but we should also perform our Dharma, our essential duty. And as we said, what is the essential duty of the soul? Yes. As the soul has essential duty to make the dishes salty, as the sugar had essential duty to make everything sweet, as the water has essential duty to make everything wet, and as the fire has essential duty to burn and to give light and warm heat, in the same way the soul has his essential duty, and this is to serve. And the best person that we can serve is Krishna. And if we are serving Krishna, automatically we are serving everybody else. We gave the example with watering the root of the tree and giving the food to the stomach. When you give water to the tree, to the roots of the tree, automatically the whole tree gets energized. And when you give food to the stomach, automatically the whole body gets its energy. So in the same way, when we are serving Krishna, who is the root of our existence, the root of our universe, everybody becomes fulfilled. Everybody becomes fulfilled. That's why if a devotee is serving Krishna with love and devotion, nothing will miss in his life. Everything will be perfect. So now we spoke about Dharma. So now we said there is two kinds of Dharma. One is called the terms can be used in a different ways, but now, to make everything easy, we will just use them in this way. We will say we have Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana Dharma means, Sanatana means eternal. So the eternal Dharma, the eternal duty of the living entity, Sanatana Dharma. And this is service to God. This is the eternal duty, eternal activity of the soul. And then apart from Sanatana Dharma, in the material world we have other Dharma, or our duty, which is called Sva Dharma. Sva Dharma. Sva means his own. Our own Dharma, our own duty. On the basis of our conditioning, on the basis of our body, physical body and mental body. So, according to what is our body, for example, we are man or a woman, we are intellectual, or we are hard worker, or we are good businessman, or we are a very good administrator, we will have our own Dharma. So according to our physical nature that we have, and according to our psychology, we get a certain duties to perform. And this keeps us normal people, because we know we have to do something. If we don't do anything, we'll get crazy. And then also give us a purpose of life. We have to achieve something, we have to do something every day, I have duty to perform. And then keeps very clear identity in our mind. Who am I? Oh, I am a businessman, or I am a worker, or I am a teacher, or I am a politician. It's clear who you are and you can act. So you have material duty according to your nature. What means nature? Nature means guna and karma. What are your qualities and what kind of work you can do. According to these two, you have to get a certain duty, certain obligation, certain job that you're doing. For example, someone is, let's say, skinny like me. Is this body good for, let's say, working on the big construction building where they have to carry this, 30 or 50 kilo of cement and sand and bricks, how they? Huh?
Is it your excuses?
I did it actually, by the way. I work.
Now, take a look at me, right? What should I have to work?
More than a month I worked this, but to tell you frankly, if I have a choice, I don't want to work it again. It was nice because you are on a fresh air, but we had to carry some days. Our boss came and he told us we had to carry these cement bags, 50 kilos. We have to carry them to the 4th floor on the stairs. Why? There was an elevator. But he said, you won't use the elevator because you can break it. So you're going to do it all the way the stairs. So because we are very young, like 18, 20, 22, 23, it's like a challenge for you. Me, I cannot do it. Come on, let's do it now. You take this. You are like 60, 70 kilos, you carry these 50 kilo bags. But if I have to do it now, thank you very much. Just I don't have the body to do it. So obviously person who is doing this work, he has to have the qualities to do it, yes? Strong body, energy. And he has to have the mentality to do it, to be able to keep up with this lifestyle. little bit harsh personality to some extent, I would say. Or, for example, someone is very aggressive person, very fiery by nature. He can be a good student, a teacher.
No, you can't teach well.
It's difficult because to be a teacher you have to be patient. If you're not patient with the students, how you're going? Like, first time they'll fail, second time they'll fail, and third time you just tell them, get out of here, cannot stand you anymore, you're not good for anything. Like, even if you go in the army circles, you see in between the soldiers, they choose for the teachers those ones which are more Brahminical, more like, they have the mentality of the teachers. They are more soft, more grounded, more relaxed, more patient. These are the teachers in the army. They are army guys, but there is a big difference between them and the other army guys. So in this way, our job should be according to our physical nature and according to our mentality. Now someone may ask, okay, so what's my job, what I have to do? Well, that's a big topic. It's a very practical topic though. We definitely have to discuss this one. I would rather park it for later. We will have a specific section, maybe after a month and a half, where we are going to speak about the whole social system of the Vedas, Varna, Shrama, Dharma. And then we are going to speak about all these things. What are the roles of different personalities? What means to be a teacher? What means to be administrator? What means to be a businessman? What means to be a worker? What means to be a husband, a wife, a kid? Every personality in the society has a certain role. And role means there are things that you have to do. This is your duty. And also your duty is there are things you shouldn't do. Like, for example, you are a worker. Well, you have to obey your boss. If you don't obey your boss, how you are a worker? Definitely you have to do this. What you shouldn't do, well, for example, you shouldn't argue with your boss, or you shouldn't cheat. If you cheat your boss, you won't have a job. So every position has things that you have to do, you shouldn't do. And if you know these things, and if you keep according to these rules, these are the rules that were created in the beginning of the universe from Krishna, then everything becomes very easy. You feel very comfortable in your position materially. And if materially everything goes on well, then you have the internal peace in order to practice your Sanatana Dharma, or eternal duties towards God, to pray to God, to worship God, to serve God. So generally in our case, these two, they have to go hand by hand, because we are spiritual, but we are in the material body, and we identify with the body. So until we identify, we have to move as a train. The train is always moving on two, how you call them? Rails, yes? So we have to do the same. Until we identify with the material body.
Why? Isn't the purpose transcending the material body?
It is, but until we made it, it will take some time.
Until you've made what?
Until you practically understand that you are not the body and you are spiritual soul. Because you may know it, like for example, now I can ask all of you, oh, do you know that you are soul? Yeah. Do you know that you're soul? Yeah. Do you know that you're soul? Sure, of course. But then, are we acting as a souls? Where is our mentality about what we are thinking? Are we thinking about Krishna, or we are thinking about money? Or when we walk the street, are we thinking about Krishna, or we are looking about the, I don't know, pretty girl in front, or the nice car which is passing by, or the nice cakes on the...
What about both? I mean, it's part of the sensorial thing.
Both is good. Both means...
Like walking with the flower in front of the butcher shop, you have to beat it with a shoe or something.
Both means we have some realization that we are soul, but we are not yet there completely. So again, if it's both, we have to perform both duties, the spiritual duty and the material duty. Only when someone becomes totally transcendental, that means he's totally detached from his body and the needs of the body, then he may not perform his material duties. But even then, Bhagavad Gita is saying that the great souls are still performing their duty, just to give example for the ordinary people. So basically, more or less, there is no excuse not to perform your material duty. Unless you go, let's say you become monk and you go to live in a monastery, then your duty is to be a monk. Then you have a different set of rules to follow. But again, you have to follow these rules. Like always, you have to follow your duty, whatever is your duty according to your position, material and spiritual. This makes the human life very easy. If you know who I am, what is my duty, materially and spiritually, you are doing it, everything becomes so peaceful and so easy. Like your mind will be 99% of the material miseries will disappear from your life, just by doing these simple things. But because nowadays the whole culture is culture of what is the English word?
Hedonism.
Like a resistance.
More
I will not follow the rules. Huh? Rebellious culture, correct. Rebellious culture. I will always do whatever they told me to do. I would always do the opposite. This creates big chaos in the society at large. So everything becomes very difficult. People, they don't know who are they, what they have to do. They don't have peace in the mind. Everything becomes very difficult. Okay, so we have two kinds of duties. One duty is eternal duty, our service to Krishna. And other duty that we have is our material duty according to our material nature. And again, just to conclude this part, we cannot avoid serving. There is no way around it. Because this is the nature of the soul. The nature of the soul is servant. So anyway we are going to serve. The question is who? Are you going to serve God, Krishna, or will you serve humanity, or the country, or the family, the wife, or the husband, or we'll get a dog or a cat and serve them, or we'll be so selfish that we'll just serve our own senses, just go to the shop, buy whatever we want to eat and drink, and we'll just go home, lock ourselves, and do it on our own, and nobody will be there to see us, and we'll eat whatever we want and drink whatever we want. One time one devotee told me something very shocking, that he read somewhere in the Puranas. Puranas are part of the Vedic literatures. There was descriptions of different sinful acts. And if you do this sinful act, then you have to go to suffer in this and this place. And if you do this, then you have... And then in one place it was written, and if you eat sweets alone, then you have to go to this and this place to suffer this and these years. Why? Well, because the idea is that human life it's a very elevated life. It's not like the life of the animals. So human life is always meant to be a sacrifice. Sacrifice means whatever you have to share it. You cannot just consume it only for yourself, selfishly. This is not completely a human life. Yes, you can have the facilities of a human life, let's say the nice flat and good salary, and you can buy from the shop whatever you like. But actually what makes the human life is the idea of sacrificing. Your life is sacrificed for someone else. It's meant to be sacrificed for someone else. This is what makes the difference between humans and all other living entities, other species, animals, and so on and so on. So when I heard this and I said, I think I'll have to change some habits here. Because when you are Brahmachari, you have to eat sweets. Otherwise it's difficult to stay Brahmachari. So many Brahmacharis, they have the habit of just taking sweets and eating them.
What is different between Brahmacharya and
Sannyas? It's the same, just the difference is that for a Brahmachari there is a back door, and for sannyasi, no. Both are renunciates, and more or less both are following the same vows, but the Brahmachari generally gives the vow that he will be a brahmachari for a certain number of years. And after that he has the choice to continue as a brahmachari or he can get married. And this is not a bad thing for a brahmachari. Although in the West, generally, many devotees, they don't have this understanding actually. But it's not wrong for a brahmachari to get married. It's not a fall down. It's not something bad. It's totally fine because he's a student. He is entering into student life, and after completing his studies, it's totally fine if he continues as a family man. And actually, according to social system, it is said that this is upgrade for him. From a brahmachari, if he becomes a family person, this is he goes one level higher. Why? Because generally the brahmachari has the tendency, especially the young brahmacharis, like if you are a brahmachari who is like 50 years old, it's a different story. But generally the young brahmacharis, they are very selfish. They think only about themselves. If I slept enough, if I ate enough, if I feel good. Whereas becoming a family person, you cannot do that anymore. Your life becomes a life of sacrifice. Of course, the brahmachari, he is meant to live in the school of a guru, and his life should be guru hitam, totally for the benefit of the guru. Whatever guru says, this is what the brahmachari is doing. Traditionally, a brahmachari cannot take his meal unless the guru says you can go and take your meal. This is the tradition. So again, his life should be a sacrifice. But the tendency of a brahmachari is very much there, to be selfish. And by becoming a family person, the idea is that you start working seriously on this, that it's not about me. I'll go, whole day I'll work, and then at the end of the day I'll come back, I'll throw all the money on the table, and I'll give all my time to the wife and to the kids, and at the end I'll just go to sleep. And next day I'll go and do the same thing. It's sacrifice for the others. So a brahmachari, he has a choice. A sannyasi, he doesn't have a choice. Sannyasi, he puts everything material behind his back. There is no any more material engagements for him. He can be engaged only in spiritual activities or things connected with Krishna. Just one more thing to say. That's why a sannyasi, he is considered the teacher of all different orders in the society. Different ashrams or varnas, we are going to speak about different orders, but sannyasi is the top. He is the teacher of everybody, even the brahmanas, the teachers. If you have brahmanas and a sannyasi appears there, sannyasi is considered the higher. Everybody will pay immediately obeisances. They will give him to speak. He's the most learned and he's the most austere. Why he is the most learned? Well, because he gave up the idea of material sense gratification. So that means he has a transcendental knowledge. That's why he is qualified to speak. Others, let's say the brahmanas, they may have the same knowledge, but they don't have still the realization. That's why they are living material life still. Say they have families, they have kids, they are working. Why? Because still their idea is, okay, material, I can be happy. Whereas sannyasi, he's totally, he has total realization that this world is not meant for me being happy. This world is meant to make Krishna happy. And his whole life becomes a sacrifice for the pleasure of Krishna. That's why sannyasi stop. Let's say when some sannyasi comes, like Kavichandra Swami, we have 2 sannyasis here in the temple. This is great wealth to have sannyasis around. They purify the whole place. So when he comes, we can immediately pay obeisances, offer our respects, like it can be in our mind, just with folded hands, we can just show respects, or even sometimes we can bow down totally. This is the culture. So that's the difference between brahmachari or sannyasi.
So you are a brahmachari, right?
I'm a brahmachari. I can get married if I want.
No, I mean,
I'm saying. And I won't be crucified for this. I hope so. But generally, if someone becomes like 40 or 50 and he was a brahmachari his whole life, it's recommended that you miss the proper time to do it. Like It's difficult to start a business when you are 50 or to grow up kids when you are 50 or so. So generally it's recommended that you just go on. Yeah, you just go on with this lifestyle.
Right. Tulsi, may I ask you a question? Okay. You're talking about Brahmacharya and Sasna, I don't know what?
Sannyas.
Sannyas, sorry. Those are pathways within Krishna consciousness or something?
Sorry?
Doesn't it contradict how you say that the information or the knowledge has to be passed down from descension versus ascension? So that's not similar with what you're talking about right now.
These two things, sannyas and brahmacharya?
Yeah.
No, these are different things. But generally, sannyasis, they may become part of this disciplic succession. They may become, they were very qualified disciples, and when they become sannyasis, they can become very qualified gurus, and they can transmit this knowledge, be part of the disciplic succession. But these are two different things.
And these are within faith, what we're talking about? Like, where did the Brahmacharyas come from?
The Brahmacharis?
In respect to the lesson on faith and Dharma.
No, just there was such kind of question. It was a little bit... Just the question came, what's the difference? That's why we discuss it. But Brahmacharya and Sannyasi, these are parts of the social system, Vedic social system. So later we are going to speak about this. What is Brahmacharya? What is Sannyasi? What is family person? What is retired person? What is teacher? Yes, all these things will define them. What is their role in the society? What should be their qualities? What are their duties? What they shouldn't do? All these things we are going to speak about this.
Brahmachari and
Sannyas
are teacher roles within
yes.
the Vedics.
Correct. They are. Brahmachari is then generally considered a student, but once the student becomes mature, naturally he becomes a teacher.
Different from the duty role of the soul.
Well,
or similar.
It's these are considered social statuses. Spiritual status is something different. Like you can be a brahmachari, you can be a sannyasi, you can be a family man, you can be retired man, you can be worker. In all these cases, the Sanatana Dharma is the same. The eternal Dharma of the living entity is the same. We have to serve God. So let's say I'm going to be a teacher after my classes, I'll go and I'll pray God. And you can be a worker after your work, you go and you pray God. And he can be a politician after his politics, he'll go and he'll pray. This part never changes. This part is the same for all living entities. But the material part, it will be a little bit more, how to say, more defined according to your material nature, physical nature. The Svadharma, the material Dharma.
That we're trying to transcend.
That which we are trying to transcend.
No.
Yes.
Because you have a karma and a path.
We are trying to transcend this.
Set up.
But because
just have to write it out.
Well, because we cannot transcend it immediately, until we go to transcendental level, we have to be a normal guys in this world. That's why we try to be nice, not to make problems to others. How you don't make problems? When you know what you have to do. If you have society and everybody is doing in the society whatever he has to do, everything will be very nice. Now we have problems because nobody knows what to do and everybody is like teaching others what they have to do, but they don't do what they have to do, and it becomes complete mess. So that's why
So why want to be the teacher? Because that's the cheat, right?
Because these are your qualities, and you have to do whatever your qualities are. You do whatever you can do best. That's the Vedic idea.
But
Vedic idea.
These people going around like you're saying right now that are.
Now is a different story, but how it should be is the Vedic idea is everybody should do whatever he is good in, and then everything becomes very easy. Like for example, it's not necessary and naturally everybody to become this or that. Like, let's say we should have, I don't know, from all the populace of America, 20% should be workers and 20% should be, I don't know, teachers and 20%. No, it's not like that. Whatever is your quality, this you have to do. And if everybody is doing in what he is good, things will be very nice. Because you get very good results from these people. Like, if he has a quality of a teacher, he'll be a very good teacher. If he has quality of worker, he'll make his work very good. Then everything will be very easy. I just wanted to mention that Vedic idea of self-realization is very, very easy. You don't look around yourself. You look at you. This means self-realization. You should understand who are you and how you should be engaged properly. And if everybody makes this, then the society automatically is getting in order. And even if there is some small discrepancies here and there, then the people who are in charge, let's say the kings, the politicians, okay, they'll take care for these small problems. But generally everything works very fine because everybody looks himself, he's honest with himself, and he's self-realizing himself, what's his position. He takes his position in society, and then everything becomes very easy to manage. Now it's difficult because everybody wants to be something else which he is not, and then it becomes total mess. Yes?
Yeah, I was just wondering, because you make it sound so easy to know what's your dharma, but how can you know what's your qualities and what's your...
I was very afraid that some of you asked this question. What's your dharma?
Yeah.
Okay, short answer. You can look at yourself and understand to some extent, but nowadays situation is little problematic because most of us, we are not one pure kind. We are a mixture of something. And because of that, you have to do actually combination of work. Maybe let's say you have, like for example me, let's say I have the nature of a Brahmana teacher, but I also have the nature of a Shudra worker. So I have to find some way to engage these both natures somehow in my life. I have to use my intelligence, I have to go to other people who are very mature and knowledgeable and ask them for advice, and by their mercy.
You say you have a Brahmana and both Shudra and Brahmana, but how did you know?
How do you know? Well, I'm watching myself 25 years. And after 25 years, you kind of start knowing some things about yourself. You kind of know your nature. You see your habits. And people, they give you feedback also. They are saying, you're good for this, you're good for that. So you kind of start understanding. So this is one difficulty to find who you are, that we are a little bit mixed natures nowadays. But although we are mixed natures, again, we can find out who are we. And we can perform our duties. Like if we start speaking now with each one of you a little bit, and you start telling about your life, what kind of jobs you were doing, and where you feel comfortable, where you don't feel comfortable, immediately we will find actually where is your natural field of activity, where you feel more comfortable, when you get best results. Where is the field of activity that is the most suitable for your physical nature and for your psycho nature. It takes little time, but it's not so difficult. It's like we have the varnas and the ashramas. Varna, ashrama means what's your social status. You can be either student or family man, or retired man, or monk, sannyasi. Oh, you have only these four. So that's very easy to find. Now everybody immediately can say, yeah, I'm this, or this. Yes? Is it so? Correct? Then we go to the other part of the social system. It's called Varna. Varnas, they are basically how do you make your living? How do you make your money? Yes, and if we put the things in this way, also becomes very easy because, well, either you are working in the field of education or in the field of politics and administration, or in the field of business, these three, they are always independent. At least they have to be. Nowadays it's a little bit crazy, but they should be independent. The teacher should be independent, the politician should be independent, and the businessman should be independent. And then if you are not a businessman or a teacher or a politician, well, then you are the fourth one. You are some kind of worker. You can be very high-class worker, but you are a worker. You are working for someone, let's say, who has a business. So from looking from this way, it's not so difficult to find actually who you are and what's your duty accordingly. But again, as we were speaking the previous time, if there is attachment, then it becomes difficult. Because let's say you want to show that I'm not a worker, I'm a Brahmana. Why Brahmana? Well, because Brahmana, they're on the top of the society. And then if you want to prove this, then it becomes difficult. But if you're just honest with yourself and you make this analysis, you'll see, okay, so that means I'm here and here. Back to Jimmy, because he's late for the class, I think we'll have to give him punishment to make sweets for all the classmates.
Okay.
Can you make sweets?
Sweets? Okay, Prabhu.
Can you make?
Can I make? I can try.
Oh, this
I do
doesn't...
not know if it will be sweet, but it will be something.
Okay, something. His punishment will be to give something to all the classmates.
And he needs to eat more than all of us.
Okay.
Oh, this he can do. I'm witnessing. He's good in this, yes. Okay, so shall we move? Can someone give me exact time? 8:12. Okay. So I'll take a little bit more time. The next thing about which we are going to speak today is faith. The different faiths and what means faith? What means to believe in something? So we are going to discuss faith from two different perspectives. One perspective is faith as our internal belief in something, in some value system, in some values in our life. And the other way how we are going to look at faith is faith as a religious belief. So now first I'm going to speak about faith from the religious belief perspective. What is the difference between Dharma that we discussed and faith or belief? Apparently it looks the same, yes? Because we said Dharma means to serve God, and belief, well, if you take Christianity, you serve God. If you take Muslim religion, you serve God. So what is the difference? Well, the difference is very simple. A belief is something which is material and it's temporary. And belief or faith, you can change it. Like, for example, today you can come and you can say, I'm a Christian. And after 1 week you can come and you can say, well, I'm not Christian anymore, I'm a Muslim. And after 2 more weeks you can come and you can say, well, now I'm a Hindu. So your belief, you can change. What you believe, you have some ideas about life, you have some understanding about this, you can change. But your Dharma, you cannot change. The Dharma that you're going to be servant of God and servant of other living entities, this you cannot change. So that's why we say Dharma is Sanatan, is eternal, is the eternal intrinsic nature of the living entity, essential nature of the living entity. Whereas faith is something material. The different faiths, they are like different stamps that we are putting on ourselves. The same way how we have stamps, let's say I'm a man or I'm a woman or I'm a very intelligent or I'm a very stupid or I'm very fat or I'm very thin. The same way we have all these stamps that we're putting on ourselves, in the same way we have a stamp connected with certain belief or faith. Oh, I'm a Christian. Oh, no, I'm a Muslim. People are using this, how you say? Huh? Identities very often without deeper meaning to them. let's say you go to offer spiritual books to someone and he tells you, no, I'm a Christian. But then if you go and ask him, oh, you're a Christian, so you pray to God every day? No, but once in a year I go and I light the candle and I give $5 donation. So it's basically just something that exists, part of your identity, but apart from having it as a stamp on you, it doesn't really do much more than this.
An impression or experiential.
It's just one of the many, in Sanskrit the word is upadhi, identities that we created for ourselves. We created so many identities in this lifetime. Like for example, I'm very clever. Always when I say something and I want others to appreciate this identity.
Mm-hmm.
Or
to be validated, but
yes.
Isn't that the roles of the ego?
It
Which
is.
are in the
Yes,
subtle
it
body?
is. That's why we are saying that a faith, a belief, it's part of the material designations. It's a material thing, and because something material, it changes all the time. But what is spiritual never changes. Like when we were speaking about the nature of the soul never changes. And Sanatana Dharma, the eternal occupation of the soul, also never changes. This cannot be changed. That's why sometimes someone may come, let's say, to Krishna Consciousness, and he can practice Krishna Consciousness. And after, I don't know, one year, he may decide and he may say, oh, I give up Krishna Consciousness. I won't be Hare Krishna anymore. I will become Christian. You can do that. You can change your external designation. Oh, I'm a Hare Krishna, or I'm Christian, or I'm a Muslim, or I'm a Hindu. This you can do. But you cannot change your eternal nature. You cannot give up being eternal servant of God. You may close your eyes and
Cover your ears.
yes, cover your ears, or try to imagine that you are not, but you cannot stop being a soul which is a servant of God. This is a very important moment to understand. It's a very, very important moment. This may be one of the most important moments of the whole philosophy of Krishna consciousness. Why? Because this is who we are. We are eternal servants of Krishna. No matter what we do, no matter with what kind of crazy ideas will come up in our life, we cannot change this. You can become man, you can become a woman, you can become a film star, you can become a, politician or a mafia guy, or no matter what, you can try, you can be whatever you like, but this thing will never change. You cannot change this thing. This is you. You are a servant of God. So from this perspective, the most practical thing to do is to be yourself. That means to serve God, to serve Krishna, or Allah, or whatever you want to call it, no problem. Very important.
But serve someone,
point.
something
You
other than yourself.
Yes.
Essentially.
Yes. And if you are in illusion, you serve something limited and material.
Temporal.
Yes.
Based off of the senses, like you see around every day. Just even breathing.
You'll
The
find
next breath
you'll
here
find
is-
an idol. You'll serve a movie star, or you'll serve a basketball player, or you'll serve a great musician. Like they go on these concerts and I cannot live without you. Yeah, fine, but this will not make you happy because it's a temporary image of God that you created. So we have the serving propensity, and anyway we are going to serve, but because the object of service is not the perfect object, He won't reciprocate in the best possible way with us, and we won't be fulfilled completely. But if we direct our propensity to serve towards Krishna, then, because Krishna is perfect, He will reciprocate perfectly, and we will feel totally fulfilled. And not only this, but by serving Krishna, all the particles of Krishna, they will become fulfilled. They will become happy. Like, for example,
Which
you...
is everything and everything.
Yes.
But aren't we in that, in the example of the entertainer? Isn't Krishna working through that artist was born literally with whatever talent or whatever,
He
random
is.
special thing that creates some joy or relief or
He is.
sensation.
He is. And that's why if you are serving Him or worship Him, but you recognize Krishna, that actually Krishna is what is attracting you in this artist, not the artist itself, then you will be totally Krishna conscious. And then if you're doing this for a long time, at some point you come to the conclusion, well, why address third or fifth or 10th image of God? Let me just address directly God. Why going and serving the indirect representatives of God? Let me serve directly God. If this guy is so attractive, what about the God himself, who is the origin of all attractive people and all attractive objects? So naturally one comes to this conclusion. It's unavoidable.
I don't say there's sustainable means to it. It's just part of the conditioning. I mean, when you say a lot of the things today in this class, it's isn't it like obvious things that go on in the world? Like a lot of the things that you've said today, it's like, I think, no shit. Like, of course the person's like this or does that.
Of course, yes. But
But isn't that a part of the material conditioning that everyone, that's like a part of the vessel? The car moves its wheels and goes in a lane, or the organic flow of how things already are. The pedals spiral this way. No. You're saying it's stylistic and
everything moves naturally. The problem is that our vision is not correct. For example, you have a relationship with a woman and you live together with her. That's perfect, because God created this world in this way. Man and woman, they get together and they have kids. This is how things work. Where is the problem? Problem starts when you start thinking that this is not the wife of God and you have to treat her as part of God. In other words, treat her perfectly, always taking care of her. But you think she's meant only for you and for your sense gratification. She's like your slave. Then the problem starts. The problem is not the situation. Situations are very natural. Problem is how you view the situation and how you use the situation. Then the problem starts. Our vision is improper. So that's why the Krishna conscious philosophy is very simple. You don't have to change the externals. You change your consciousness. Then the externals will gradually come to the proper way. Just change how you perceive the situation. This is where the problem is. Problem is not, let's say, that you go and you serve to your boss. Oh, everybody has to serve someone. But how do you view your boss? If you think he's just the rascal who is manipulating you, well, then sooner or later you have a problem. If you are trying to view that actually he is representative of Krishna, and you are dealing with him with this mood, well, not always 100%, but 99% of the cases, your boss most probably will be so happy with you that he will double your salary after maybe 1 or 2 years, and he'll put you definitely on a higher post. Because you are doing what you have to do in your position. Why? Because you are Krishna conscious. If we are Krishna conscious, Krishna consciousness includes everything else. It doesn't exclude everything else. It's a very important part of the philosophy. It's not that if now I am Krishna consciousness, because I am Krishna consciousness, everything else should go to hell. No, it's not like that. Because I am Krishna conscious, everything else will be perfect. Because I know perfectly how to deal in each and every situation. Krishna gives you intelligence, what you have to do, how to act, how to speak, everything. Well, Krishna consciousness includes everything else.
Does it mean we have to do everything dedicated to Krishna? Everything we do, so we have to dedicate to Krishna, right?
See the connection of everything to Krishna. This means Krishna consciousness.
Even in our daily duties, right?
Yes.
So everything
Yes.
to everything.
Yes. That is Krishna consciousness.
Time to sleep, to get to work, or whatever.
Yes.
Everything.
Yes. When you go outside to draw some nature on your painting, you have to see, wow, this beauty, this is Krishna. Now, I don't see Krishna directly, but I see Krishna, how he is represented in the beauty of nature. And the talent that I can copy this, what Krishna drew and what I am trying to draw now, this talent, Krishna is giving me. How I'm going to do it otherwise? It's not possible. In everything that we do, we have to see Krishna. In our daily duties, in our family life, in our job, everything we have to see Krishna. This is called Krishna consciousness. And if we don't see Krishna in a certain situation, this situation is called Maya. Yes. What means Maya? Illusion. Why it's illusion? Not because the situation is illusion. Illusion because you don't see the situation properly. Krishna is part of this situation, but we cannot see him. That's why it's Maya. We don't see Krishna. The moment when we can see Krishna in each and every situation, that means we are totally Krishna conscious. We already go back to the spiritual world. So, speaking about faith, let's address this topic about the faith from the different perspective, namely from the perspective of faith having a strong faith in something. In order to advance seriously in spiritual life, one should have faith. Faith is a very important part of our spiritual life. What is faith?
The material. You said earlier, right? Faith was material?
Faith, as we were using it before that, as a religion, as a mundane religion, is material thing. Now we are using the same word in a different way. This is the problem. This is the problem with the English language and many of the Western languages. They don't have the richness to express many terms. That's why sometimes we have to use one word describing different things in case.
So this is Dharma.
Yes, until now we were using the word faith as a, you could say, synonym of Dharma. Now we are using the faith in a different way. What is the faith? Faith is belief in something sublime. The Sanskrit word is Shraddha. Until now we were speaking about Dharma. Now we are going to speak about Shraddha. It's different subject matter. But we have to use the same word because this is the word that is the most suitable in the English language. So what means faith? We have a definition of faith. You can write down a definition of faith from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Shraddha Shabde Vishvasa Kahe Sudrida Nishchaya Krishna Bhakti Koile Sarva Karma Krita Haya. Shraddha or faith means the strong belief that just by rendering service to the Supreme Lord, Krishna, Krishna Bhakti Koile, just by doing bhakti for Krishna, just by serving Krishna, Sarva Karma Krita Haya, all other duties, all other engagements that we have, all other responsibilities, everything will be taken care of. If we surrender our life to Krishna, nothing will lack in our life. If we surrender totally to Krishna, Krishna will make arrangements. Our bills will be paid. Our rent will be paid. There will be a fuel in the car. We won't have problems with anything. We will have food in the fridge. Everything will fall into place. This belief that just by doing devotional service, everything else will follow automatically, it's called